Global Broadcasting Networks presents Coach Talk Radio. Create the time, money, and lifestyle you want with tips, tricks, and techniques that get you started today from some of the best internet minds in the business. Now here are your hosts, internet brand strategist Sandra Beck.
Hey, ladies and gentlemen, this is Sandra Beck, and this is Coach Talk Radio. And today we're talking about investing in yourself, investing in your health as a way to improve your business productivity. We all know that when we get sick, we can't work as effectively. When we don't feel well, we're not productive and we make mistakes. And one of the things that I've found when I have attended more to my physical health and well-being, and especially my nutrition, not so much for weight loss, but for better health. Now, weight loss, let's talk about it. People don't want to buy products from heavy people. I mean, unfortunately, that's the way it is. We're a social media driven enterprise, so they're going to see you on video. They're going to see you. And if your business is an image business, you get it. But if your image is not a business that's image-based, I've got news for you. People aren't going to buy for you if you're overweight and you look unhealthy. They're just not going to. So one of the things that we want to think about is how do we keep our body in optimum shape and optimum nutrition level so we can produce. We are a machine. We need to fuel our bodies. We need to put these things in it. And I can't tell you how many burned out, single parent company owners I run into that just look like a wreck. And we want to fix that. And when people look at coming to a training program, often they see, I'll go and I'll learn about social media. I'll learn about, Salesforce and how to manage my Salesforce. But one of the things that we don't attend to a lot is the machine that allows our companies to work, which is us. And how do we attend to that? So today we're going to talk with Dr. Lori Shemek, and she wrote a book called How to Fight Fatflammation. And this is the second show in this series. If you guys want to hear, you love this enough, go to iTunes, TogiNet, or Coach Talk Radio, and you can find the first in this series. This is the second in the series. And we really want to address why we are so unhealthy, overweight, depressed, and frustrated as business owners. And it's got to be more than just self-control. So I brought on Dr. Lori Shemek to talk about these things. Lori, why are we all so overweight in this country?
Hi, Sandra. Well, the main reason is the types of foods that we're eating, but it isn't necessarily your fault because a lot of the food is being injected with sugar, fat, salt, and it's a concoction, it's a cocktail, if you will, that has tricked the brain and fooled the tongue. And so it keeps this addictive process of not just to sugar, but to other junk foods as well. And the types of oils that food manufacturers are using because they're cheap into many, many, many of the products in the grocery store are also contributing to inflammation within the fat cell.
Now, let's talk about this inflammation. We talked a little bit about last week, but for this week, people listening, I don't know if they're familiar with fatflammation or the concept of inflammation in your fat.
Right. So we have a couple different types of inflammation. We have acute inflammation, which is very important to our immune system. It's important for us because without it, we wouldn't be walking around. We wouldn't be alive. It's that sprained ankle. It's that terrible head cold, that cut on the finger. And yes, it's uncomfortable, but it, again, it keeps us alive. And then sometimes things get a little haywire with our immune system, and something sets up called silent inflammation. And its very name suggests danger because you don't know it's there. Unlike acute inflammation, which I call loud inflammation, you know it's there. Silent inflammation, you don't know. And silent inflammation is the core cause of most illness, disease, faster aging, and now we know weight gain as well. So silent inflammation creates serious illness and disease such as cancer, Alzheimer's disease, diabetes, osteoporosis, and the list goes on and on. And you have it when these symptoms start to emerge, and that's when the health condition starts to set up. So the last type of inflammation is what I call fatflammation. It is the silent inflammation of our fat cells, and it becomes a vicious cycle. So when you have we all have about 100 billion fat cells throughout our body. And we used to think that our fat cells were just this jiggly mass that just kind of sat there and didn't look so pretty. Well, we now know that that's not true, that our fat is very much alive. It's actively sending messages to our brain and more, determining whether to release fat or to keep storing fat and not let it go for dear life, okay? So a healthy fat cell is about the size of a period on the end of a sentence, and it releases stored fat. It swells and shrinks for energy, for protection, etc. And an unhealthy fat cell gets bigger, more bloated, more inflamed. It keeps storing fat, sugar, and much more, and it releases these inflammatory molecules, a small trickle. But you would think, just being a small trickle, that would be okay, right? Right. Well, we now know that that is not the case at all, that slow trickle is a 24/7 problem happening within the body. And the same is true of silent inflammation. It's 24/7, always lurking there. So you can look at your fat cells, if you're overweight, like little factories spewing out inflammatory molecules. And this slows the metabolism down, which means you pack on more fat. That fat cell's getting bigger, and it becomes a vicious cycle because the more fat that you're packing in to that fat cell, the more inflammation, the more inflammatory molecules are being released. And so the good news is that we can reverse this.
Now, what about people, and I see this a lot, I see a lot of advertisements come through my company in the mail, about these bypass, these gastric bands, these gastric bypass, these gastric, surgery, weight loss surgery. There's a big billboard right when I come into leave my little town into the bigger town. There's a great big billboard about liposuction and gastric bypass. And, when you look at busy working people, it's crossed my mind going, can just keep working. And I hear that a lot from women, like, should we go get this? Should we go get this done? Because it is hard to figure out what to eat, and it's hard to work full time and raise a family and then get to the gym or work out. So I want to honor everybody in that struggle. But what does can you just remove those fat cells, or do they grow back? What happens to a fat cell when you suck it out?
Well, when you remove a fat cell, it does not grow back. Okay, but the problem is when you have sometimes the nearby fat cells will continue to get bigger because the fat has to get the excess and inflammation has to go somewhere. Okay, within the body. So you may set up more weight on your behind if you had liposuction in the front of, say, the belly. If you have a gastric bypass, for example, that's something completely different where they actually shrink the size of the stomach, so you can only hold a little bit within the stomach. You can't eat very much. And the problem with this is it leads to nutrition deficiencies, and it's unhealthy because you're not getting the amount of nutrients that you really need. So I highly recommend people, unless it's a life and death situation, to actually reduce their weight without going to that great extent. And typically people who do have gastric bypass actually gain the weight back. studies show.
Well, that's what I've noticed. There's two gals in my town who've had this surgery, and they looked great for about a year.
Right.
But what I've noticed is they're starting to pack it back on, and then in their volume of food that they're eating is much bigger than it was like a year ago. Not that I'm measuring, their food, but we all go out to eat, and I'm like, holy bananas, you just ate that, hamburger and French fries like nobody's business. And, you notice these things because, they do cross my mind going, it does seem simple. Just go to the doctor and staple my stomach or suck the fat out and I'll be fine. But I've noticed watching it that it's not that case.
No, it isn't.
Ahead,
you need specifically B vitamins in order to metabolize fat, okay? And to protect your brain health and digestive health. And I talk about the importance of gut health, and all of those nutrients are being severely depleted with gastric bypass. So definitely important to reverse fat cell inflammation and lose weight and create optimal health. That is what you want to do. There really isn't an easy fix in terms of, popping a pill and overnight the weight disappears. There really isn't that right now. So, people say to me, well, if it's inflammation of the fat cell, Dr. Lori, then why can't I just take an ibuprofen like a Motrin or Advil or something? And I always say, well, first of all, it's a different pathway, so that won't work. And then the next thing is the only thing that will reverse the inflammation within the fat cell is the diet. Your diet is the only way to do it. And that means that when you do it that way, you're also creating better health at the same time. So it really is a win-win, and it happens right away. So when you eat specific foods, for example, we're talking as soon as you eat them epigenetically, which means that your gene expression is being affected right away when you choose the right foods to eat. It actually happens. So a good example of that would be...
you know what, Lori? I'm going to take us to commercial break. We're going to talk about a great example of that.
Okay.
What did you call it? Epigenetic?
Right, epigenetic.
Epigenetic. Okay, so when we come back from the break, we're going to talk about what happens, the minute that we change these things. We're visiting today with Dr. Lori Shemek. Her book is called How to Fight Fatflammation. You can find her at drlorishemek.com. That's DR like in Dr. Lori, Lori. Shemek is spelled Shemek. drlorishemek.com. When we come back from the break, we're going to talk about some of these things, sluggish metabolism, this epigenetic, how we can change things. And I want to talk, too, about juicing and shakes, because that seems to be all the rage in what I see in people carrying to their offices early in the morning. We're going to talk to Dr. Lori more after the break.
In today's business world, a helping hand or idea that doesn't come with an invoice is a treasured find. And if that happens to you, then you need to pay it forward to keep other entrepreneurs from making mistakes or getting a raw deal. It's called Paying It Forward with Josephine Girassi, Wednesday mornings at 9 a.m. Central. Josephine is going to have the guests describe their accomplishments, the lessons they've learned, both good and bad, and then sharing those pieces of knowledge as we create a movement of paying it forward. For more information about Josephine, her business, and background, you can go to mymomknowsbest.com. Josephine Girassi has always been a problem solver. She saw this need and has turned it into a movement. It's Paying It Forward, with tips, tools, and advice and hard lessons learned. These pieces of knowledge can make a huge difference for you, your business, and others. So join us for Paying It Forward with Josephine Girassi, Wednesday mornings at 10 a.m., 9 a.m. Central on TogiNet.com.
It's the Fitness Minute with fitness expert Annette Hammond.
Strong and flexible core muscles fortify almost everything we do. Harvard Medical School encourages us to think of our core muscles as the sturdy central link in a chain connecting your upper body and lower body. No matter what daily tasks you are doing, the necessary motions either originate in your core or move through it. So an inflexible and weak core can impair how well your arms and legs perform. Strengthening your core activates power and helps you accomplish tasks easily and without pain. A strong core can prevent low back pain that affects 4 out of 5 Americans at some point in their life. When back pain occurs, a routine of core exercises is often prescribed to relieve it. Focus on keeping your core strong. I'm Annette Hammond. Like us on Facebook at Fitness Minute with Annette Hammond.
Taking care of business every day.
Hey, ladies and gentlemen, this is Sandra Beck, and this is Coach Talk Radio, and we're visiting today with Dr. Lori Shemek, and our topic is creating optimal health. Now, yes, we all want to look good, but we all want to produce. We're company owners. We're people who are designed to create things, and we can't create when we're, what do we call, fat, sick, and nearly dead, just like that video that I love. I love that guy. I think he's so much fun, and I every time I need a tune-up, Dr. Lori, I watch him, and it gets me back on track. If I
I love it. Don't you love that? Yeah. Right.
Yeah, because we do need reminders.
Yes. Oh, yes. Absolutely.
Now, one of the trends that I'm seeing in today's offices is that people are coming in with like juice drinks and protein shakes and they come in with this belief system, and I shared it at one point, that if all I did was juice and if all I did was drink these protein shakes, magical things would happen. And yeah, some things did happen. My hair and nails started growing better, and there were some benefits, but it wasn't what I thought it would be. And I'd like to talk about that. But before we do, we want to do that epigenetic thing. You were talking about like the minute something comes in, epigenetic things happen, and I just love that word. That's my new word of the day, epigenetic.
I love it. Yeah, so when you eat healthy food and unhealthy food, changes happen right away to the body, okay? And if they're consistent changes, you're going to see marked change on the outside of the body. So right away, what happens is epigenetic means a genetic change, a genetic expression, and that means the outside of your gene is being affected as opposed to the part of the gene that's the core, which is the color of your eyes, for example. But we now know that the environment that we put ourselves in or that affects us, such as the type of water we drink or the types of foods we eat, even the thoughts we think, all affect our genetic expression, either positively or negatively. So if you think negative things, you express negatively and vice versa, right? And the same is true as if you eat junk, your gene expression is going to be junky, okay? So an example of that is our gut health is critical to our overall health, our optimal health, and our weight as well. So when you eat just sauerkraut, for example, which is a cultured and fermented food which feeds the good bacteria in the gut, that means that you're affecting your genetic expression. But it happens relatively quickly. In the digestive tract, the health of the digestive tract, the gut actually changes to healthy within 3 days of eating just 1 tablespoon of sauerkraut. But things happen immediately. So when you, for example, take fish oil, or you have a fish that's high in omega-3 fat, like wild salmon, for example, or rainbow trout, you actually are affecting your genetic expression right then and there. You may not see it for a little bit, but you are affecting it right then and there immediately. So it's always something to keep in mind that when you drink that sugary drink, that soda, for example, that you are negatively affecting your genetic expression. And a lot of people don't want to look at their food that way and how it will affect their health or the outcome of their health. But it's really important to start really looking at it more from that perspective rather as opposed to how good it tastes. We all love, and I'm not saying don't enjoy your food, I'm just saying to be more mindful of the types of food you put into your body.
Well, and let's just talk a little bit about this mindful for a minute, because one of the things that I found was that my dad and his family lived forever. Like my grandmother lived to 102. My grandparents were in the 90s. My dad's 82 now and very fit for 82.
Right.
And one of the things that he always says, because he's, they're German and they are from Germany. And, he's like, well, it's our German diet. It's our German this. It's our German that. And our German genes. They're like, yeah, Dad, right. But there is something to be said about it, because when I make the German meals for my family, we have cauliflower, we have sauerkraut, we have, meat. There's a little bit of potato, there's a little bit of starch, but it's not a bread-based diet. There's some root vegetables, but there's sweet potatoes. There's different potatoes other than just mashed and white. And I look at some of this stuff and I'm like, oh my gosh, it's a very meat and vegetables diet. Mm-hmm. And then there's a lot of things in here that are, like you talk about in your book, like, when I was growing up, we had sauerkraut every week. Like, it was just part of...
Oh, that's fantastic.
And I love sauerkraut. We'd have it on a hot dog or a bratwurst or on chicken breasts, or you could put it on everything.
Right.
But I looked at some of this stuff going, some of the Northern German diet that was meat and vegetable based, mm-hmm. I wonder how much that had to play in their longevity.
It has a lot to do with it. Epigenetics is actually transferred from generation to generation. So mothers, for example, who are expecting to be pregnant really need to create optimal health. And while the baby is, in fact, the 9 months of maturation in the uterus, it needs to be fed well. The environment, the nutrition needs to be optimal for the baby, because even the father's health, they now know, epigenetically affects the baby's health as well. So there's a lot of research on it. It's very important research in all areas of health, and for example, there's studies out there, twin studies. One twin, they're adopted separate. They grow up in separate families. One twin has a horrible, rough life. She smokes, she drinks, and she has no friends, and the list goes on. The other twin has a wonderful family, is raised by a really great, close-knit family. She has lots of friends. She's driving at 91 years old. They're the same age, right? And takes care of herself. She exercises. And her sister ends up in a nursing home with Alzheimer's and other health conditions, and she is just fine. She's writing, she's driving, she's not senile, and in good health. And so it just shows you how much the environment impacts your overall health and well-being.
Well, and I have a friend, Peter, my literary agent, Peter. He's an identical twin, and Peter does yoga every day. He's primarily vegetarian. He'll eat a little bit of meat on occasion, so he doesn't call himself a true vegetarian, but he eats a primary plant-based diet with a little bit of chicken and fish, and then he treats himself to, like, once a month he gets, his piece of steak or whatever he loves. Mm-hmm. And his identical brother has a very, very different lifestyle. And, Peter is 82, 83 now and spry and walks like a young man. And his brother's in a wheelchair and, he needs assistance getting in and out of the car. And they grew up together and they live just one county. One's in Orange County, one's in Los Angeles. And you just go, how on earth does this happen? This is identical twins here.
Right.
But their lifestyles are very...
Their choices. Right. It's totally about choice, and I'm sure there are other factors other than just eating meat that play into the brother's choices. You know what I mean?
It's the yoga. It's the he's mm-hmm. Peter walks every day. He goes to his yoga class, and he's cares very much, and he meditates and he prays. He does all these additional things, and that his brother, who's a love, doesn't. But I just look at them, Lori, like it's like watching like a mirror. Yeah.
That's so interesting, yeah, and it's very common, when you see if people understood, and that's a great visual for you and for anybody to see how impactful nutrition is, how impactful the thoughts we think are to our overall health. It really makes a difference.
It really does. These are choices. And,
right.
When I think of people like me in business who are listening today, they're probably listening while they work. We make really, really conscious, present choices in our business. We look at our business, when we're successful, and we go, okay, what will this impact have if I spend this, if I invest in that, if I do this? And it's funny to me that we don't think about it for our health. And we are the most critical, in most cases, we are the most critical part of our business.
That's right. You are. You're a walking business card, actually, of your business. And the most productive people, now we all have 24 hours, a day, 12 hours a day or whatever, but we all have the same amount of time in a day. And yet the most successful people are the ones that take care of themselves, typically. So you see people, masterminds out there that are out there and they're doing the best work. They have the energy to do it. And it's not energy they were born with. It's energy from taking care of their bodies. And that will take you into your old age, in fact. The better you take care of your health now, the better you're going to be down the road.
Absolutely. I'm going to take us to commercial break right now. Dr. Lori, where can your book be found?
It can be found anywhere books are sold and online. It can be found on the book site itself called Fatflammation.com or on my website, drlorishemek.com.
Now, is it available in paperback and audio as well?
It is. It's available in paperback, not audio, but paperback and hardback.
Oh, because I think you should make an audio because you have such a nice voice. I sound so crass next to you. You have such a nice cultured voice.
Thank you. You're so sweet.
But when we come back from the break, we're going to talk about a little bit about these like juice and protein shakes and, these what do we need to know about these things? We see them everywhere. I see them advertised. There's so many companies that promise optimum health if you just buy their products. And I'm not saying that some of them are not good out there. There's not good things to those. But I really like to know kind of the nuts and bolts. Like, what do we need to know about juicing? What do we need to know about these protein powders, programs, and shakes out there? We're visiting today with Dr. Lori Shemek. Her book is called How to Fight Fatflammation, and it's a 3-week program to shrink the body's fat cells, but I'm going to share with you, it's not a 3-week program. It gives you lots of great information. It really just comes down to 3 big steps, and if you can make these 3 steps, you'll be able to make great improvements in your life, and I'll tell you, when you feel great, when you are producing, there's nobody in your business better than you, and the money starts coming in because you generate it. You are able to do this because you feel great, and as the core of your business, I feel that every business owner, every entrepreneur needs to invest in his or her own optimal health. We'll be back again after the break.
Close your eyes and imagine living your life without limits. Where would you go? Who would you meet? What would you do? During an Uncover Your Hidden Genius session, you will discover what's keeping you from living your life with purpose, passion, and fulfillment of your potential. You'll get a clear vision of the steps you need to take to uncover your hidden genius so that you can live a life without limits. Sessions can be done over the phone, Skype, or in person. Find out more at www.joycebufordempowers.com or by calling 903-287-0747.
It's the Fitness Minute with fitness expert Annette Hammond.
Most of the time, exercise rejuvenates you and increases your energy. But every once in a while, you may find that you're feeling tired in your workout, and every movement is an effort. My advice is simple. Turn up the music. Listening to fast-paced, uplifting music can really be helpful. According to the Journal of Sport and Exercise Psychology, your overall endurance improves by 15% when you exercise to music. So put on your preferred playlist or turn the radio up and treat yourself to a great workout while listening to your favorite music. The pulsating beat and uplifting lyrics can truly spur you on to complete your exercise and also to get an outstanding workout. Turn up the music and turn up the energy and motivation. For the Fitness Minute, I'm Annette Hammond. Like us on Facebook.
Taking care of business every day. Taking care of business every way.
Hey, ladies and gentlemen, this is Sandra Beck, and this is Fatflammation episode Coach Talk Radio. We're talking about optimal health as a business owner, and optimal health is required for an optimal lifestyle and an optimal company. So if you want to make money and not run yourself into the ground and spend a lot of money putting yourself back together or, sucking your fat out or stapling your stomach shut, it might be a good time to pick up a copy of Fatflammation with Dr. Lori Shemek. We're going to talk today about these juicing and protein shakes, because whenever I go to the gym, when I go to softball, when I go to my yoga class, there's always somebody, whether it's in the office or the gym, that has one of these shaker bottles and they're drinking their protein or they're drinking their green juice. And I'm a huge proponent of green juice, Lori. I hope you're not going to but I like to make my own green juice. I want to know what's going in it and what's not going in it. But it's certainly a trend, and it's certainly a multi-million-dollar industry, because I see all these different companies, Visalis, Advocare, and I'm not talking badly about any of them. I'm just saying there's a lot of them out there, and to try to make a choice on this is really difficult. And I would love to know, what are some of our do's and don'ts, or how do we know, with this kind of liquid diet, juicing, protein shake trend that we seem to be on?
Well, the first thing you need to know is if you're drinking fruit juice, you don't want to be doing a lot of that at all, okay? Because now I recommend fruit, whole fruit, and 2 servings a day, which would be, say, an apple and a pear, or like that, or a serving of berries. But you want to stay away from fruit, because fruit is high, obviously, in the sugar fructose, and fructose is damaging to the liver, all right? It gets stored in the liver. It gets stored as fat in the liver as well, and it creates a congested, fatty liver. Overweight people, the majority of overweight people, especially women, have a fatty liver, and they don't even know it. A non-alcoholic fatty liver, including kids, by the way, are being diagnosed with it. Directly due to the types of foods that people are eating. So fructose, a lot of foods have high fructose corn syrup. Just even the excess fructose, like in juice. If you drink a lot of juice, that's problematic. So when you have one of those fruit smoothies, at the very least, make sure that it has protein in it. Okay, so if you're having a veggie green juice, that's fine. If there's a little bit of apple juice in there or apples, I would like you to stay away from all juice. But if you throw in the whole apple with that, that's fine. But most people are drinking an enormous amount of juice. Now, vegetable juice is very good for you. It's very healthy. You can drink as much as you want of that for the most part, and you're fine.
Now, what about these mixes? Like when I look at these recipes online, like my favorite one is that Joe Cross one that he makes with the celery. Then he puts apples in it, and then it's got kale and carrots and I don't know, some other things like that. Or the NutriBullet guy, and they recommend drinking fruit and vegetables in there. Should it be like 90-10, like 90% vegetables, 10% juice, like something like that? Just
Yes, exactly. And, that's very healthy. What you mentioned is very healthy, and you're alkalizing the body, which is important in terms of reducing inflammation within the fat cells. So, and overall cellular health as well. So making sure you stop the excess intake of fruit juice, the excess intake of smoothies that are mostly fruit-based. I see some of these recipes that have, for one serving, they'll have 2 bananas or even 1 banana, and they'll have a half a mango, a handful of berries, and the list goes on and on. And it's sad because a lot of these people are drinking an excess amount of these fruit smoothies, and it's just elevating their blood sugar level, and it's creating inflammation within the body. The liver's on overload, and the reason this is an important point is because the liver is your number 1 fat-burning organ. And if it's congested and it's fatty, it can't metabolize fat the way it's supposed to. Okay, and it also can't detox the body the way it's supposed to as well. So you're creating even more inflammation within the cell itself. So very important to take care of your liver, and to do that, you must kick sugar to the curb for the most part, and that means most sugars, okay, all sugars rather, because the body is like a chemistry lab. It doesn't say, well, this sugar's okay and this sugar's not okay. All sugars are metabolized in the same way, but fructose is especially problematic because it is metabolized only by the liver, directly by the liver. Other sugars are not, but they all promote poor health and what we call glycation, which is the caramelization of your bodily tissue. And it's not just the skin tissue that causes wrinkles and sagging skin. It is the actual tissue in the organs, such as the liver, okay? So think about the caramelization of the tissue in the liver on top of the congestion that's happening. So a lot of these livers aren't looking so healthy. They look more like a piece of bacon than they are an actual healthy, functioning liver.
Well, and that's one of the things, like, you know, that gets me confused, because I do have my juicer. I love my juicer, but I also love my NutriBullet. I actually love my NutriBullet more. If I had to be buried with one, I'd be buried with my NutriBullet. Because when I juice, it's really thin and runny, and I can slurp that down no problem, but I don't feel like I'm full. And then when I use my NutriBullet, it grinds everything up so small. Sometimes it's gross, like, because it's like, looks like swamp water. Like something I scooped out of my childhood pond. But I feel like that fills me up more. And so, in your opinion, like, which do you recommend? I mean, I'm not saying to shill for the NutriBullet or shill for the juicer, but like for you, like my NutriBullet is so much easier to clean. That's the other thing. My juicer is like out of a pain to take everything apart and clean it if I'm in a hurry in the morning. What gives me better nutrition?
Well, if you're putting protein in, if it's a snack, for example, and you're putting protein in with that, say the NutriBullet, then that is excellent, okay? If you're creating a veggie juice, strictly veggies pretty much, 90-10, right? 90% veggie.
Right, 90-10.
Right. Then that's fine, too, as a snack. Okay, that's fine. Ideally, I would like you to have protein with it, but if not, that's fine. But if you're just creating, like, fruit juice and you're throwing in, as I mentioned in the example earlier, then that's going to be a problem because you're elevating your blood sugar level. That causes inflammation. You're triggering the fat storage hormone, insulin. You are tamping down on the weight loss hormones that are necessary. There's a whole cascade of chemical reactions that occur in the body with an excess amount of sugar. Even with whole fruit, even though there's fiber and nutrients in those things, it's like people say, well, fruit juice is healthy. And it's really pretty much a step up from a Coke, pure, like a glass of apple juice, for example, because it's essentially pure sugar, pure fructose, what you're drinking. And even though it has nutrients in it, it still doesn't benefit the body.
Well, especially if you add, like I look at some of these recipes, because now I'm starting to look at them with a different eye, and I look at this one, and it's like there's strawberries, there's pineapple, there's mango, there's banana, like this thing.
High fruit sugars,
Yeah, it's all
sugar.
sugar. And I thought, well, I could zoom this up in my NutriBullet and make it into popsicles for the kids. Like little popsicles would be better than drinking this whole thing. But to think that I'm drinking this for optimum health and I'm getting all these vitamins, well, what comes along with it is a whole bucket load of sugar is what I'm hearing.
Right, exactly. Now, veggie juice, no. There's a marginal increase in, unless you have carrot juice, that's a different story, or beet juice, for example. But those, but other veggies, so if you're making that swamp water, then you're fine. So now the protein shakes, they're fine. If you want protein shakes and, I always recommend protein as a snack and along with every single meal. It balances your blood sugar. It triggers the hormone glucagon, which helps release stored fat. There's a whole host of benefits to eating protein with every meal. So and snack. So the protein shakes are good as long as there isn't any form of sugar in there, or if there's a little bit, that's fine. In terms of fruit, that's fine.
That makes sense, because I was thinking like, okay, well, I could make a hybrid if I put a scoop of protein powder in, and like in with the vegetables and like my 90-10, like that would be easy. Or yogurt, some coconut yogurt or regular yogurt, I could throw that in, and now it becomes nutritious for all of us. And it'll be like pea green rather than swamp green.
Right. Yeah, and that makes me feel better, because that means that if say, for example, if it is a fruit smoothie you want, then make sure to add that protein in there, because that will slow down the release of sugar into the bloodstream, which means that you're not going to have this horrific cascade of things that you really can't feel but are really happening on the inside of the body.
Wonderful. And I'm going to just add a little thing. We've got to go to commercial break. For those moms out there or dads who are making healthy smoothies for your kids, I found it's really helpful to put a dark, like a sippy cup, like those kinds with the straw that you put in that are insulated. Choose a dark one that they can't see through, because the minute they see it's green, they're going to go like, oh my God, that's disgusting, and I'm not going to drink it. Because that's what happened to me. I put it in a clear container, and my kid looked at it, and he's like, I'm not drinking this. Like, you wouldn't even give it a chance. But when I put it in I used a Baja Fresh cup that was like solid white with a black plastic top, and you really couldn't see it other than in the straw, it went down a lot better. And he's like, oh, Mom, this is okay. And that's much better than, ew, yuck, I'm not drinking that.
Right. He didn't have the visual.
That's right. So, and it does actually help me a little bit too. Like if I sip on it, I'm not so alarmed. At least in the beginning, I was kind of alarmed by the green. We are talking today to Dr. Lori Shemek. The book of the hour is How to Fight Fatflammation, a revolutionary 3-week program to shrink the body's fat cells. Now, you can find out more about Dr. Lori by going to drlorishemek.com. Her name is spelled Shemek, S-H-E-M-E-K. She also has a Facebook group that I would suggest you guys joining. Is it an invitation only, or do you need to be approved?
It's open to the public, right.
Okay, so go ahead and look up Fatflammation and Dr. Lori Shemek on Facebook. When we come back from the break, we're going to talk more about what we can do to increase our optimal health. More after the break.
Cuisines and Sacred Rituals is a quest, a place, and a feast. Join host Vilasi Venkatachalam every week to explore myths, mystique, old medicine, and brilliant modern solutions through a dazzling kaleidoscope of cuisines, cultures, and cures. This is the place where tribes gather, strangers and familiars, to be memory keepers and makers of our evolving, enduring, evergreen, spoken legacy of wisdom and ingenuity. In Vilasi's words, when we do old things in new ways and new things in old ways, we paint with an inspired palette, weave our own healing traditions, and become our own guru. Vilasi is a troubadour of secret cuisines and sacred rituals. She collects stories of wisdom, ingenuity, and grit. She believes wellness wholeness and transformation happen when you stand at the threshold of delight and discovery. She displays her hidden penchant for drama when she leads the safari at the supper club. Her favorite pastime is to extol the marvels of cuisines, cultures, and cures. To her audience in workplaces, seminars, and salons, her mantra is, be your own guru. She is a biochemist, botanist, and alchemist who likes to churn delightful, useful things from a brew of art and science, ancient and evolving, old medicine and new cures. Join Velocity every Friday at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, only here on the Woohoo Radio Network.
It's the Fitness Minute with fitness expert Annette Hammond.
Is it better to work out by yourself or to exercise with a workout partner? It really depends on your personal preference and what your workout personality is. Fitness Magazine polled its readers and found that 74% like to exercise alone. They preferred to work out with zero distractions. 14% liked group exercise classes, where they could be social butterflies. And then there were 12% who enjoyed exercising with a gym buddy, just one person that they worked out with. Personally, I like to work out solo when I'm doing my weight workout each day. I like to concentrate on my form, and I enjoy the alone time. But when it comes to cardio work, I prefer to work out with someone else. Engaging in a good conversation really makes the time go by faster for me. Find out your workout personality and what works best for you. For the Fitness Minute, I'm Annette Hammond.
Taking care of business every day.
Hey, ladies and gentlemen, this is Sandra Beck, and this is Coach Talk Radio, and we are talking about optimum health today. If we expect to have optimum results in our business, we need to have optimal results in our bodies. One of the things Dr. Lori and I were talking about during the break was her Facebook group, and I'm going to encourage you guys to get on and join her Facebook group, because one of the things that she has done, she posted this Almond Joy recipe, which is just a little bit of dark chocolate, a little clump of coconut, and a couple almonds, and you heat it up and in the pan in the oven, and then let it cool. And I froze these, and like they're my little like snack treats that I know are good for my body. There's this recipe and tons of other ones on there, along with other cool things. Lori, what goes on in your Facebook group, and what's it called?
Yes, we have. So I have the Dr. Lori Shemek page on Facebook, and then for anyone who's interested, there's also the name of the book. It's a closed group, and if you just ask to join, I'll put you in right away. But we have top experts on board. We have recipes. We have people sharing about their successes and all sorts of wonderful things. So it's called How to Fight Fatflammation. And so between those two Facebook pages, they're really helpful to people. And the open one is great because I always put out recipes that are really quick and easy for people that, for example, brownies that are healthy, that don't take any time at all, fudge. We have quick recipes for people to make, like chicken burgers with avocado chunks in them. Super easy, ground chicken or turkey with cubed avocado, put in your seasonings of choice, and then you grill them. And they're super moist, and they're so good, and they stop hunger and cravings for hours, and they freeze really well as well. So you can take them to lunch the next day. You can have them, at any time, really. So there's really a lot of great information and resources on those two sites. On Facebook.
Okay, and the one I'm going to, is these chocolate turtles. Like, I loved the ones you had me make for the Almond Joys. These chocolate turtles are so easy to make.
And they're so easy, they're quick, and they're actually good for you. So all the things that I put up are very good for you. They're healthy. It's nice to know you can have candy.
Oils.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah, and knowing that it's reversing fat cell inflammation. Losing weight.
Well, and there are times, like, I'll be honest, I'm a single mother of two, and I'm still in my reproductive years, and there are certain times of the month that it's like, get out of my way, I really need a piece of chocolate, and I don't want to go and buy a huge candy bar, and I definitely don't want to go buy a whole bag of candy. Like, this is my thing, like, candy bars seem to have gotten bigger, like, their portions are really big, and I know myself, Lori, if I buy a candy bar, a Snickers full-size candy bar, I'm going to eat the whole thing, and You're not alone.
Right.
Yeah.
And
so
that's,
when
I have something called the 3-bite rule that if it's really helpful during the holidays or if you're going to an event or something where there's going to be yummy food, that you have 1 bite. And we all know that first bite is decadent, right? And then the next bite is still really good, but it's not like that first bite. And the third bite is just like the second bite. So if you can stop at 3 bites, it's the 3-bite rule, you're good to go. And it's really helpful during the holidays when you're being bombarded with a lot of food. But that rule is only good if you can stop at 3 bites. So some people can't.
Well, it depends on the thing. Like if it's a brownie
True.
or it's a, but a Snickers bar, an Almond Joy bar, or homemade chocolate chip cookies. Like I know what I cannot have in my house. I know what I can't, like if I go to a kids event, there's always some lovely mom there that made a giant plate of chocolate chip cookies. And I'm like, just don't even go there because and it's amazing, Lori, because that cookie will talk to me like hours and sometimes days after. It'll be like, remember how good that cookie was? Don't you want another one? Does that cookie sound good right now?
Right, and it's actually it's a great memory, it's a great memory. But it needs to stay as a memory, and then refocus back on what your priorities are, which is to create better health and optimal health, and lose weight if you need to. So it's like refocusing is so important. A lot of times when people have that cookie, for example, or they have that piece of carrot cake, they throw their hands up in the air and they just say, forget it. It's not in the cards for me. Losing weight, I can't lose weight. This trying to eat better thing isn't working. And, if the minute you decide never to do that again is the time when things really change for you, because it happens to everybody. Everybody has their moment, of whatever food it is. And so it's about those choices that we make that are so key and so important. We tend to wrap our ego around how well we're doing with our weight loss plan or how well we're doing with our eating choices. And instead of just doing the best we can and knowing it's not perfection. It's just we're a work of art, really, is what we are. So we're just doing the best we can. And so, people beat up on themselves so often, and I really hate to see it. It's really sad. But the minute you decide to change that behavior and start saying, okay, I'm fine. Well, I'm moving forward. I had that carrot cake. Boy, was it good. It was the best carrot cake I ever had. But now I'm back on track again.
Well, and one of the things that I found, and maybe you can explain this to me, like, because I have this inner war with myself, and I go, well, if I have that, it's going to start me back like on the sugar craving train. Like if I just keep the sugar,
it's a slippery slope. Yes.
Yeah, it's almost like an alcoholic. It's like I can't have just one drink, and I would truly rather eat sweets than regular food. Like if I were given my choice, like if I were going to die tomorrow, I probably wouldn't eat a vegetable or a piece of steak. I would have like all my favorite yummy junky food. But I know, like an alcoholic, that if I even have that today, Lori, after we're done, then I know I'm going to have cravings tomorrow. I'm going to have cravings for like 2 or 3 days, and I'm going to have to manage those cravings. So I ask myself, like, is it really worth it?
Is it worth it? I know. And I know because I was addicted to sugar as well when I was in school. It is, and that's why I don't keep sugar in the house. I do not have sugar because I know that when I do have it, I want more of it. It's just the way our brains are wired. And some people were more sensitive than other people. And so when you find that the types of foods, the really wonderful foods that you put into your body, they balance the blood sugar, they create optimal health, you create more insulin sensitivity, and you feel fabulous. And so the sugar, then it doesn't affect you like it used to, but it still creates that, it triggers something in the brain that says, I want more.
Oh, I'm going to see. Achoo. Sorry, I was sneezing. But I agree with you. And one of the things, thank you, that I really think about with this stuff is when I go, I don't want to feel that craving. Like, I really don't want to go back there. And the one thing that I found, too, is I've been eating a whole lot of less sugar since I read your program. I won't say that I'm where I want to be. But I've eaten a lot less. And the times that, like, you know, I've been at an event and somebody will be like, oh, take a bite of this. Isn't this great? I'm like, holy bananas, is that sweet? Now, I used to be able to eat 4 or 5 brownies, just like boom, boom, boom. Now I eat one and it tastes very, very sweet. So I think that you change, too.
Yeah. I mean, it's something, it's one major decision you make when you realize how much better you feel and how you're free of the sugar handcuffs. You're free. And, you know, you say, okay, is it worth it? Well, no, it really isn't worth it because I don't have to deal with that anymore. And so it's fabulous when you're sugar-free.
It is. Well, and that's like when you say like your program is a 3-week program, I don't want people to think like you just do this 3 weeks and then like you're done the rest of your life, or you do this 3 weeks and, you know, to me it's like 3 steps. Like step 1 is understand what's going on. Just like I would when I'm working on a job or I'm writing a formula for somebody or writing a program for someone, understand what's going on. Once you understand the lay of the land, you know, in military speak, you understand what the lay of the land is. And then number 2 is just clean out your pantry. Very simple. Just clean this stuff out. You know, get rid of this, move this stuff in. It's not like you can't have anything. You know, you just replace. So it's like, you know, understand the lay of the land, clean out your pantry.
Right.
You're swapping. And then the last one is just do it. And I know it sounds really simple, but if you were just read the book and understand it, clean out your pantry, and then just do it, you'd be amazed at the results. It's really not that hard. But we get in our own way.
We do. And the minute we hear that we have to make changes, people start to panic. And that's where that's where actually the fun of life begins, is when you start experiencing better health and better weight control. I mean, it just makes your life so much better. You're more productive, you're more successful, and your health is so important to all of that.
Well, you feel better. You're happier. You can enjoy life more. I know, you know, since I've gotten much more healthier, like I can't wait to go and run around on the field with my kids, as opposed to like, oh God, I gotta go, you know, and walk around, like drag my tired butt on the, you know, on the field. Like I work out when my kids work out. You know, there's lots of great tips. I encourage everybody to get a copy of Dr. Lori's book, How to Fight Fatflammation. Like I said in the early episode, nothing has been paid to promote this. This just is a book and a program that I have been working on and working with for the last year, and it's made big results in my business. And the other thing I'd like to share with people, and then we're going to have to go, Dr. Lori, but one of the things that happens when you have Optimum Health is your stress level goes down and your depression level goes down. Like you're not as worried, you're not as stressed. Food really does affect our mood. Food does affect how we feel every day. So if you're interested in a smart way to create Optimum Health in 3 easy steps, I would encourage you to find Dr. Lori online, drlorishemek.com, her book, How to Fight Fatflammation, or go to Facebook and join her group. You will not be sorry. We'll be back again next week with more great episodes of Coach Talk Radio.
Thank you for listening. On behalf of Sandra, Beck, and Scott Frazier, we want you to get out there today to make more money with less time and effort so you can live the life you want. Tune in next week for more tips, tricks, and techniques from Coach Talk Radio.